My name is Al Guggenheim. I became involved in Hillel of Silicon Valley in, I think, the early 1980s during my first term as president of the Jewish Federation. Why Hillel? Well, Hillel is a place where community members like myself can get actively involved in making a difference in the future of the Jewish world. And Jewish identity is the key to Judaism staying alive, and it's so important. I worked with, through the purchase of the last house, which was the original Togos, worked with the owners and the founders of Togos to buy that house, and worked on the beginning of the tenant improvements that was done so that it could be used as a Hillel. And now I've worked, of course, on the purchase of our new house. And the key with the new house is it's what we always say in real estate is location, location, location. We finally found a place that has the ability, with some improvements, to be good for our programs now and certainly in the future. Hillel of Silicon Valley is one of the cornerstones of our pipeline of local Jewish leaders. I know that as long as we have a vibrant and successful Hillel, there will always be a next generation of Jewish philanthropists and activists in the Valley to take up the reins as generations pass the responsibility down the line. And that is why I was so committed to finding a home and homes for a Hillel. A Hillel house is the main home of any Hillel. It is where Hillel can build its programs, host its events, and create an environment for Jewish college students to go and feel at home and be safe. I knew that as we started to bust the seams of the old house, a new house for us to grow into was critical, and I'm so pleased that we were able to secure the new facility for Hillel that I know will act as the new focal point for Jewish life in the supported campuses.
I'm Vicki Harrison. I coordinate the Jewish Studies program at San Jose State University. I became involved in Hillel peripherally when my husband Peter Ullman was on the board sometime in the late 90s or early 2000s. And then when I took the job at San Jose State, Sue and I immediately connected and agreed that it was very important to both of us to work collaboratively on behalf of Jewish students, but also on behalf of Jewish studies at San Jose State. I came to discover my Judaism as an adult, and I would say that my connection with Hillel is a part of that because I see in students who are discovering their Jewishness something of what I've only discovered more recently. I guess it took me longer. But I see it as a lifelong process, and I'm so moved by the process as I see it in students today. Hillel students show their presence, their engagement, their excitement about being Jews in the community, and I have a pretty good sense that they're going to continue to be Jewish citizens as they mature into their own communities. I think what I would say I'm most proud of is the moment when, somewhere about 2/3 into my Holocaust literature class, a student raised her hand very angry and said, "I don't know why this is the first time I'm learning this. It's not right." And I was just moved. I realized that Jewish studies is about the impact that we can have in teaching a minority field to students who were somehow denied that information and that way of thinking.
My name is Sue Levine. I became involved with Hillel of Silicon Valley about 7 to 8 years ago. Well, I have a history with Hillel. In fact, Hillel, I owe a lot to Hillel. I owe my whole second half of my life to Hillel because I met my husband at Hillel. And for me, it's just exciting to see how Hillel has grown after so many years, and actually being part of something that you thought at one point, unfortunately, was on its way out, but then came back and really flourished. The students of Hillel of Silicon Valley already impact the community of San Jose and Silicon Valley itself by the very fact that they've become an integral part of a lot of activities that go on in the community. They're very much looked on as a participant agency in a way, and their tie-in to all aspects of the community as far as synagogue events go, the very fact that they draw in the community to the academic events, and the very fact that their growth in the community in all of the different colleges has made an impact on the community itself, because there's a very large Hillel force now as opposed to what it used to be. We've had some Hillel students that have gone on to be a credit to ourselves in the community and have actually taken part and had employment in different aspects of the community in terms of day school and the JCC and the Federation. I mean, to have a house that I'm sitting in today just seems like a dream. And it's something that I know when I was in Hillel, we always dreamed about.
I'm David Mayer-Levy, formerly on the faculty of San Jose State University, where I taught for a number of years in the history department, Middle Eastern history. Well, a number of years ago, it became clear that there was kind of a continued growth and activity of very strong anti-Israel forces on the campus. I came to Hillel to sort of help out by being a resource for students who found themselves in a very uncomfortable and sometimes even intimidating position because of these anti-Israel activities. And one of the things that I did, which I think was very helpful, and certainly I enjoyed doing it, was teaching a series of classes at Hillel where any students who wanted to participate would come to the Hillel house, and I would do a brief presentation on one aspect or another of the Arab-Israel conflict, primarily picking on those topics which were like the major points of criticism against Israel, and demonstrating how they were based upon completely false propaganda. Hillel supplied the students with kind of like a strength, a backbone, something that they could rely on, and I was very proud to be part of that. A generation from now, if we have too many students leaving college with the impression that Israel is the worst country in the world, the greatest violator of human rights, that support in Congress may change. So I feel that this year's sophomore or freshman or junior or senior has got to leave our institutions feeling clear and strong about what Israel really is, what it's really done, how it has behaved in 7 wars far better than other nations have ever behaved in any war. Well, I would like to congratulate Hillel and its leaders for doing a wonderful job in a difficult situation on a campus which, I'm sorry to say, seems to be growing more and more hostile.